The drama in Albert Square just reached a new level of intensity this week, leaving all of us glued to our screens. Suki Panesar and Eve Unwin's relationship has always been one of the most compelling storylines on EastEnders. But this week, it truly hit a crescendo. Imagine the scene. Eve, in front of their loved ones at the Vic, finally musters up the courage to propose to Suki. The room is buzzing with anticipation. Hearts are racing, but then, silence. Suki hesitates, and that moment of hesitation is like a dagger to the heart. You could practically feel the collective gasp from everyone watching. We've all been there, in that vulnerable space where love and fear collide. But what exactly was going through Suki's mind? Suki's past, especially her traumatic marriage to Nish, loomed large in that pause. We can only imagine the flood of memories that washed over her, the psychological warfare, the manipulation, the pain. It's no wonder she was cautious. And to complicate matters further, just as Suki and Eve were navigating their way through this proposal drama, who should reappear but Aishas Sidhu, Suki's first love. The timing couldn't have been worse. Aisha's return added a whole new layer of tension, not just for Suki, but for Eve too. Old flames have a way of reigniting unresolved emotions, and for Eve, the sudden presence of Aisha was like a punch to the gut. Thursday's episode picked up right where the tension left off. Eve, reeling from the failed proposal, spent the night away, perhaps trying to make sense of it all. When she returned, she was greeted at the door by Aisha, and you could almost see the storm brewing in her eyes. Jealousy is a powerful emotion, especially when it's tangled up with fear and insecurity. The argument that followed between Suki and Eve was raw, emotional, and painfully honest. Suki, trying to explain that her hesitation had nothing to do with Aisha and everything to do with her past with Nish, struck a chord with many of us. Trauma doesn't just disappear, it lingers, shaping our decisions in ways we sometimes don't even realize. Eve, on the other hand, was desperate to move forward. She wanted to protect Suki, to love her without reservations. But Suki wasn't ready to be protected, not in the way Eve wanted to. The conversation between them was heart-wrenching, with Suki pointing out that Eve's desire to protect reminded her too much of Nish's control. It was a stark reminder that love, while beautiful, is often complicated by the shadows of the past. Just when it seemed like things might fall apart completely, Aisha, surprisingly, became the voice of reason. Her advice to Suki, that everyone deserves a second chance to get love right, was unexpected but profound. It was almost as if Aisha had come back not to reignite an old flame, but to help Suki see what she could have with Eve, a future unburdened by the past. It was a moment of clarity, a turning point that set the stage for what happened next. In a dramatic twist, Suki did something none of us saw coming. She proposed to Eve. Yes, you heard that right. Suki walked into the Vic, her heart on her sleeve, and asked Eve to marry her, declaring that she'd walk through fire for her. It was a bold move, one that spoke volumes about Suki's feelings and her desire to leave her past behind. Eve, of course, said yes, and the two shared a romantic kiss that had us all cheering. But this is EastEnders after all, and nothing is ever that simple. As Suki hugged Aisha goodbye outside the pub, we couldn't help but notice Nish lurking in the shadows, his mind clearly churning with his next move. What does he have planned? Only time will tell.